Can I start now? Yes. Yes, I'll introduce myself first. I am Justice MS Chauhan. I retired as a judge of the High Court, and after retirement from the High Court, I served as chairman of Police Complaints Authority of Chandigarh twice, and also as judicial member and head of department of Armed Forces Tribunal, Chandigarh. And for your benefit, I may tell you that for today's assignment, no subject has been given, and it is only an interactive session with you, only to know your problems, your what you should call handicaps, or your doubts and suspicions, and then try to remove them as far as possible. So I should take that all of you are law graduates, and most of you may be LLM also. So the question is rather redundant, but I must ask you, why should you aspire to be a judge? Who will tell me? Yes? आप बताइए.
It was my grandfather's dream. My grandfather serves as civil in Punjab Police. It inspires, firstly, my father. My father not become a lawyer or judge, then me. So I need to continue his legacy to that end. So I aspires, take up law as my passion, and then being inspired to become a judge.
So why not an advocate? Why judge only?
Because it's better he can serve as a judge. And as an advocate, it's essential that because the way I did my first year when I was there, I did my internships with DLSA and even SLSA. So the duties and responsibilities of a judge and a judicial officer, it's in the different circumstances and different situations, inspires me to become a judge as being seeing the same capabilities need to become having inspiration from that aspect.
I see. आप बताइए. बैठ के बताओ.
Sir, so the whole idea of law was introduced to me when I was in 8th standard. There I read like separation of powers and all this. So I was much fascinated by the functioning of judicial system. So I would specifically use the word fascinated because I had no idea how actually it works. But with time, I also get to know that I love writing. I love reading, and now when I'm studying law, I love reading judgments and the words they use, or I'm much fascinated, and I also not only want to be a judge, I also want to be an author. So there are so many interests which are and I think that judiciary will provide me a platform to use my capabilities to the maximum.
I'll rephrase my question. Why should you prefer to be a judge than becoming an advocate and arguing the cases?
Because I think no offense to advocates, but I think that judge has to apply his mind listening to both the parties. But when you are an advocate and any case comes to you, you have to defend your party, right? Like sometimes it also goes against your ethics. So I think that if you are in a position of an advocate, so sometimes cases come where you need to defend an accused person. So in those situations, I don't think that I am that much mentally capable person that I can defend a person whom I don't think that I should. So there would be clashed. So I think as a judge, it provide you like an opportunity to be like apply your mind to both the sides and to pronounce a verdict. So for
Yes.
the job of an advocate is bit like कि भाई हो जाएगा कि आपको डिफेंड तो करना ही पड़ेगा.
Anyway, somebody from the online candidates, they can see me. Yes. Somebody from online students would tell me why you want to become a judge instead of becoming an advocate. How do I know कि कोई टाइप कर रहा है? टाइप से कैसे पता लगेगा? हैं? इसको यहाँ रख दो. Not audible. हैं? नहीं, ये सुन नहीं पा रहे मुझे ना, फिर क्या फायदा है इसका? पूछो जरा किसी से. Am I audible to you? Yes. Will somebody tell me why you want to become a judge instead of becoming an advocate? Yes. No. Good. So, three people answered my question. First answer was that he wants to live the dream of his grandfather or father, not his own dream. Second was that because she likes the judgments and she likes to write things, and that's why she wants to become a judge. And the third is that judge can affect the lives of people in a better way and has greater responsibility toward the society. So that would mean that advocates do not have any responsibility towards the society and they cannot affect the lives of people. Is it so? No. Rather, I would say that an advocate can serve the society in a much, much better way as compared to a judge. Why? Because as judge, you will decide cases which are before you. And on the basis of तो पहले करा करो ना सेट के काम में से एक पानी का लगा देना ग्लास मुझे हाँ कुछ because judge has lot many limitations as far as function is concerned and an advocate he has the whole arena open before him, the entire universe is before him and तो मेरी एक्सरसाइज कराई जा रहे हो बैठ ही जाता हूँ मैं should be visible to the audience also. यहाँ ठीक है? चलिए. Yes. First of all, we should understand the scope of law. Can you tell me any activity of your life where you do not need law? Any activity, I say. No activity. Driving a car, you may violate traffic signal, confronted with law, right? You want to enter into a contract, confronted with law. You want to purchase something from the market or online, again law comes in, right? You want to employ a servant, law comes in, or you want yourself to be employed, law comes in, right? Any activity on earth, any activity I say, law comes to you, right? And who applies the law? The advocate. Judges are called paper lawyers. What is paper lawyer? Paper lawyer is that a judge can do justice or whatever you call it only when the matter comes before him, right? Otherwise, if a judge sees a murder being committed before his eyes, he can do nothing except for becoming a witness as far as the incident is concerned, right? But advocates, if you see the constitution of Council of Ministers, is dominated by advocates. United States have had 46 presidents, and out of them, 27 were advocates, right? And our Vice President, Jagdeep Dhankar, he is an advocate. Former presidents, Ramnath Kovind, Pranab Mukherjee, Pratibha Patil, Shankar Dayal Sharma, R. Venkat Raman, Fakhruddin Ali Ahmed, they were all advocates, right? And as far as the areas open to advocates are concerned, they can become judges, they can become prosecutors, they can become law officers, they can become civil servants, politicians, mediators, paralegals, company secretaries, teachers, and consultants, right? So advocates have a very, very great role to play in the society. And even the judges. Judges cannot function without the assistance of the advocates. It is the advocate who brings the law to the notice of the judge, and then judge decides the case according to the law established, right? So should it mean that you should not opt for becoming a judge? Yes, आप बताइए. When an advocate is so important for the society, should it mean that you should not aspire to be a judge? No. Why? If there is no judge, there is no use of advocates. In fact, we are living in a democracy and rule of law governs the country. What does rule of law mean? Law is above all is very good theoretically. How to implement it in practice? It is the judges who implement the rule of law. It is the judges who translate into reality the right to equality and right to freedom. It is the judges who interpret the law in a particular context. It is the judges who interpret and moderate the law to suit the needs of the society, changing needs of the society, right? And another very important thing, though a little bit selfish, you should say, I have been an advocate for 16, 17 years and judge again for 16, 17 years. And before that, I served in a very small post, a telephone operator, a class 3 post. That means that I have had the experience of being a very uh, low employee, then an advocate, and then a judge, and of course, a member of the society. And from this experience, I can tell you that if rule of law is not there, the society is going to enter into a chaos. Why? Have you heard of kangaroo courts? What is kangaroo court? That is media trial. Kangaroo courts are, if you have read something about Naxalite hit areas, their Naxals, they run kangaroo courts. Kangaroo court is an extrajudicial, extra constitutional thing which is resorted to by the people when they do not get justice or do not expect justice from the regular courts. And if it is allowed to happen, what would be the result? The result would be anarchy. Result would be anarchy. Result would be unrest. Result would be chaos. And it is the judge who maintains that balance, who maintains peace in the society, who maintains and applies the rule of law in the society. I was talking of a selfish thing, that from selfish point of view also, it is very, very desirable to be a judge. Why? Because if you have seen the nature around you, you will find an intent in everybody, in every creature, I should say, to gain power. Right? When you were in school, you must have aspired to be monitor of the class. No? When in college, you must have aspired to be the class representative. Right? Why? Power. And if you have seen the bees, Madhumakhi, they have a queen bee and all other bees serve the queen bee. Right? Again, power. If you see the ants, they again have the same power structure. One ant leads the herd of it, all others follow. Right? And a judge is power incarnation. He is power from top to toe. How? I'll narrate a story for your benefit. A real story. We had a magistrate, judicial magistrate. He had a friend in the IS circle. Both were posted at one station. And on some occasion, some heated words were exchanged between them. The IS man told our magistrate that, mind you, I can get your house demolished. I can get a trench dug in front of your house. And he enlisted a number of things that he could do to the poor magistrate on the judicial side. Our magistrate kept on hearing, and when his list came to an end, he very meekly and very gently said that, look brother, मैं ये सब कुछ नहीं कर सकता जो कुछ आपने बताया है, ठीक है, लेकिन अगर आपको सरकार नौकरी से निकाल दे, मैं आपको दोबारा रख सकता हूं. What do you get from it? the real power. The real power. And the real power is that a civil judge junior division, the lowest in the rank of judiciary, he can set aside the orders passed by the highest IS officer in the state. And you must have heard of Jagmohan Lal Sinha. No. Nobody has heard of Jagmohan Lal Sinha. Jagmohan Lal Sinha was a judge of Allahabad High Court. He unseated Prime Minister of India, Indira Gandhi. He declared her election to be void, and that led to imposition of emergency, and the entire course of history was changed. By whom? By a judge. By a judge. So the importance of advocates, no doubt, is very much on the higher side, but at the same time, the advocacy, the law, the arguments, all are of no use unless they are implemented in practice, unless they are used to the benefit of the society, unless they are used to alter the course of history, unless they are used for the betterment of the human beings. Right? So, and then it is said that, and rightly so, that every judge is an advocate, though every advocate may not be a judge. The basic profession is the advocate. And only after becoming an advocate, you can become a judge. These are some of the things that you should keep in mind, that being an advocate or being a judge, both are equally important for the society. I have brought for you some stories of some distinguished advocates who have brought a change in the society and whose lives are very inspiring for all of us. Before that, should I try to know from you how to become a judge of the Supreme Court? Anybody who can tell me? Online candidates? I can't see them. आप बताइए सरदार जी, how to become a Supreme Court judge in High Court, and if in Supreme Court? No, you said he should have practice of 10 years in the High Court. He can have in the Supreme Court also, or no? In fact, there is nothing like High Court or Supreme Court. The requirement is that he should be an advocate for 10 years. Right? And what about High Court judges? 5 years. Where do you get it from? 10 years again. What is the article? Anybody can tell? Article is 217. It says they should have held judicial office for 10 years in India and should have practiced as an advocate in the High Court or 2 or more such High Courts for 10 years. And how to become a district judge? Yes. What is the article? आप बताइए. No. आप बताओ. Article is 233 of the Constitution. And to become a district judge, there are 2 methods. 2 channels are there. First is direct recruitment by way of examination and interview. And second is by promotion from the civil judge junior division, senior division, sorry. Right? So how many channels are there to become a judge of the High Court? Again, 2 channels. First channel is direct appointment by elevation from the bar, and second is by promotion from the judicial services. And similarly, for Supreme Court, 3 channels. One is you can say two channels. One is by promotion from the High Court to the Supreme Court, and one is direct appointment to the Supreme Court. As somebody told that a eminent jurist, he can be directly appointed to the Supreme Court. Anyway, how many of you have heard of Ram Jethmalani? Something about him? आप बताइए. You have heard of him or no? आप बताइए. There is nothing like senior most or junior most as far as advocates are concerned. The remarkable thing about him is that he did his law at the age of 17. When he was 17 years old, he became eligible to be enrolled as a lawyer. But rules of Bar Council prohibited him from becoming a lawyer. Right? Then he fought his own case and got an exception in his favor, and he was allowed to be enrolled as an advocate. He is the only advocate in the history of India who became a lawyer at the age of 17. That too by fighting his own case for the purpose. Right? And then the cases fought by him. Nanavati murder case. Very famous case. Indira Gandhi assassination case. Rajiv Gandhi assassination case. Manu Sharma parliament attack case. Harshad Mehta and Kiran Parikh case. And many more. Most of the judgments where law has been set in a particular way, the cases are argued by Jethmalani. Right? And most important case argued by him was the habeas corpus case. What is habeas corpus case? Anybody? ADM Jabalpur. Yes. What was held in it? Otherwise, ADM Jabalpur held that the government can suspend the fundamental rights, right? But it was argued otherwise by Jethmalani, and his view was reflected in the minority judgment of Justice H.R. Khanna, who said that fundamental rights cannot be suspended by the government even in emergency. And other cases, I have a list of cases argued by him. L.K. Advani's case. L.K. Advani's name appeared in a diary of Jain brothers that indicated that some bribe was given to politicians, and his name also appeared in that diary. And L.K. Advani made a vow that unless his name is cleared from this, he will not enter any political office. And this is Jethmalani who argued his case, and he was cleared of the allegation. 2G scam case, Lalu Prasad Yadav's case, B.S. Yedurappa case, any infamous man in the country, his case is fought by Jethmalani, and many of them successfully. And then the takeaway from his story is that when you hear from people that you should have a lot of patience or else you cannot take up law, do give a second thought to that statement. At any given point of time, it enters your head that no, I have chosen a wrong platform or a wrong stream. Read the story of Jethmalani. Then another, Nani Palkiwala. Have you heard his name? Tell me something about him. That is not important about him. Again, it is not important. Important is that basically he was a tax lawyer. He was a tax lawyer. And he made his name as a constitutional lawyer in India, the topmost constitutional lawyer. And I hope somebody of you knows about the fact that at one point of time, the government mulled the idea of appointing him Chief Justice of India directly from the bar. He earned that much reputation that government wanted him to appoint the Chief Justice of India directly from advocates quota. So important thing about him is that in spite of being a tax lawyer, he made his name as a constitutional lawyer and argued lot many constitutional matters before the Supreme Court, and very successfully. Then, how many of you have watched the movie Shaheed? नहीं, किसी ने देखी? पिक्चर देखते हो कि नहीं देखते हो? नहीं. Shaheed movie was inspired by the life of an advocate, Shahid Azmi. What is important about him? Important about him is that at the age of 14, he was arrested in Bombay riots case. 14 years old boy arrested in a Tada case. Right? He was awarded sentence in that case. And while undergoing sentence, he did his law. He did his law. And at one point of time, he even migrated to Pakistan, but reverted back to India and started practicing as a criminal lawyer and conducted so many cases. And in a period of 7 years, he was able to secure 17 acquittals. 7 years practice and 17 acquittals in very serious cases. So what do you learn from his story? Yes? अगर करना चाहो तो. मैं अभी बात कर रहा था आपके डायरेक्टर साहब से. I was not given any subject for today's meeting. मैंने पूछा भी मैंने बताना क्या है बच्चों को. उन्होंने कहा जी मोटिवेट करना है. My reply was that if somebody wants to be motivated, he can do nothing in life. धक्के की कहाँ जरूरत पड़ती है? जब आपका इंजन इग्नाइट नहीं होता है ना. जब बैटरी आपकी डाउन हो तब पुश करना पड़ता है गाड़ी को. Right? So your ignition should be so perfect that an urge should come from within to do a particular thing. And for that reason, I have a great objection to his reply to my question, that he is here only because of the dreams of his grandfather or father and not to fulfill his own dream to become a judge. Why should he live somebody else's life? No? So the lesson from this gentleman's story is that if you ever feel that life has not been fair to you, do recall the story of Azmi Shahid, whatever his name is, and continue fighting. Right? Another very notable lawyer, Harish Salve. Have you heard his name? How? Kulbhushan Jadhav's case. International Court of Justice. International Court of Justice. What is important about him? That is not important. Anybody can become Queen's Counsel. That is an achievement. Why should I include his name in this list of important lawyers, famous lawyers? He was a chartered accountant by profession. And even in the examination of chartered accountant, he failed thrice. He could not make up to the mark. Failed thrice and ultimately became a chartered accountant. And in spite of that, he has earned the name that he is one of the topmost lawyers in the country. And as you rightly said, that he has been chosen to be Queen's Counsel, a very rare distinction to be earned by an Indian. So what is the takeaway from his story? The takeaway is that if you have a particular interest and an urge to follow that interest, nobody on this earth can stop you from acquiring the goal. And last but not the least in the list is an advocate named Pankaj Sinha. Have you heard his name? No. Anybody? And when I tell you his story, you will say that why we have not heard his name so far. I'll read it from his resume copied here. He is a lawyer with visual impairment. He cannot see. And I can see from your faces that you all are full of sympathy for him because of his handicap. But he has a very big story to tell you. He is from Jharkhand. He was initially home educated. A tutor was brought and he would teach him. And who was the tutor? His cousin. And his grandfather would pay his cousin some money for every class he undertook. 5 rupees per day, it is written there. His father, when it came to joining a law course, his father refused to pay his fee, that you should not go for it. You are visually impaired, and it would not be possible for you to find out cases and argue the cases before the courts. But he was determined. He did his law. And again, when he went to the court to put his chair in the bar, have you gone to the court, someone of you? Now we have chambers for the lawyers and very good working conditions. But when I started practice, we used to sit in the open, a small bench, table, and a chair, and we would chain it with the table so that it is not stolen. That was the whole establishment as far as a lawyer is concerned. And I recollect an incident. One, I had a case from of some colonel in the army. He used to come to my office at home, but one day he came to the court, and after seeing my establishment, he was full of sorrow and astonishment. मैंने पूछा क्या हुआ? वो कह रहा, sir, this is your office. And when this man went to put his table there in the bar complex, the lawyers protested. They did not allow him to put his chair and table in the premises. He was pushed out. He put his table in front of the juvenile lockup. Their judge objected to his putting his table there. Then he argued with the judge and convinced the judge of his point of view and compelled the judge to call a meeting of the lawyers. And that's how he was accommodated in the bar complex. And if you see his accomplishments, he represented International Jurist Organization in United Nations Department of Public Information 58th Annual DPI NGO Conference held in New York. He represented International Jurist Organization at the annual meeting of Academic Council United Nations in 2005 held in Ottawa. He has recently been a panelist at the ICONS 2016 conference held in Berlin. So what is the takeaway from his story? Yes, but one caveat, provided you have the urge to fulfill that dream, right? Yes? Yes. And then I will tell my story once again. I told you that I retired as a judge of the High Court and remained 2 times chairman of Police Complaints Authority and 1 time head of Department of Armed Forces Tribunal at Chandigarh. But I hail from a very, very poor family, and very destitute conditions I have passed through. There was no electricity, no transport. My school was 3 kilometers away from my place of residence. I would cover 3 kilometers in the morning and 3 kilometers in the afternoon on foot, right? Then, after doing metric, my parents refused to fund my further studies in the college. Somehow, I got admission against the wishes of my parents. And then I sat in an examination for scholarship, earned that scholarship, and that's how my studies in the college were funded. My college has been very graceful as far as my case was concerned. I got 100% fee concession, free books, and a very, very rare gesture, 250 grams of milk and a B complex capsule every day. Right? I did my graduation. Then again, the difficulty of finances came there. Ultimately, I joined as a telephone operator, a class 3 post, a very low post. And I did my law while in service. The day my result of LLB came, I resigned that post. Everybody in the family was angry. Every friend of mine was annoyed. Every acquaintance was surprised that what have you done? A central government job. You have left for being an advocate. Who knows that आपकी वकालत चलेगी नहीं चलेगी, right? But I was determined. I said भाई अगर रिक्शा चलाना ही लिखा है किस्मत में तो रिक्शा चलाएंगे. लेकिन जब मैंने LLB किया है तो या तो मेरा वो डिसीजन गलत था LLB करने का. अगर मैंने LLB किया है और उसको मैं यूटिलाइज नहीं करता फिर ये डिसीजन गलत है मेरा, right? So I resigned that post. I practiced for 16 years in Chandigarh, and then I was selected as additional session judge directly from the bar. From there I came to the High Court, and rest I have told you. So again, a story to tell you that if you are determined to gain something, nothing on this earth can stop you from gaining that goal. But the condition is that dream should be yours, not your grandfather's. Inspiration is different, dream is different. Dream should be yours. And there are many stories available in the world where people were forced to do something against their dream and they failed there. And when they switched over to the chosen path, they acquired a lot of success in that path. Don't get disheartened. Your choice is very good. So, having said all these things, I would request particularly the students attending on online to have any questions about the advocacy and judgeship. Anybody from online candidates? Anyway, so for online candidates, the time I think is over. You can continue if you want to. Any questions relating to judicial system or advocacy or law? Anyone from you? आप बताइए. The last man. Any question? No? This again is a very surprising thing that that shows that either I was so perfect that there is no scope for any questions, which is not possible, unthinkable, or you have not heard what I have said, or you have understood everything stated by me. That again is next to impossible. You should have questions, and that is the basic requirement for becoming an advocate and a judge. And when you become judges, I hope that you become judges, and then you will realize what is the use of being inquisitive. Every step should prompt you to put questions, right? And when you become judges, if you do not prompt this habit, the advocates will make your functioning very difficult. Very difficult. So make the habit of putting questions. Everything that comes before you, you should doubt it. You should try to inquire how this has happened, why this has happened. Right? आप बताइए कोई. No. आप बताओ. नो. इधर कोई. मेरा मानना ये है कि पूछा जी कोई बता ही नहीं रहा कोई. और ये कह रहे हैं कि हमसे पूछ नहीं रहे. मैंने पूछा ऑनलाइन वाले बताइए कोई. ये देखो उन्होंने बताया कि एडवोकेट जज बनने के लिए क्या क्या रिक्वायरमेंट्स हैं. एनीबॉडी फ्रॉम ऑनलाइन कैंडिडेट्स, एनी क्वेश्चन? एक तो आपकी सेटिंग बड़ी वो है, आई कांट सी देम. यस, एनी क्वेश्चंस फ्रॉम ऑनलाइन कैंडिडेट्स? ऑफलाइन भी नहीं पूछ रहे, ऑनलाइन तो बताइए आप क्या पूछेंगे. एक मिनट बताता हूँ आपको. नहीं है? ये निकाल दो. यस.
Online candidates, any doubt if you have, please kindly ask.
मेरा मानना ये है कि मस्ट डिपेंड्स ऑन हाउ यू टेक योर जॉब. आरपीसी अमेंडमेंट और नो अमेंडमेंट मीनिंगलेस. Sorry. Surety bonds of the witnesses, whereby they will undertake to appear before the court on the dates to be fixed for the residence, and shall deposit in the court the articles connected with the case. So both case property is before you. Surety bonds of witnesses are before you. Then where is the question of delay and disposal of the cases? Then have you read section 174 IPC? IPC पढ़ी है आपने? यहाँ पर स्टार्ट किया. IPC पढ़ी है ना? 174 IPC. हाँ. No. 174 IPC says that if a witness does not appear before the court in spite of service of summons, he can be punished by 6 months imprisonment and 500 rupees as fine. Right? Then 175 says that if you fail to produce the record, again 6 months and 500 rupees. Right? I was part of a conference of about 90 judicial officers. And after the conference was over, there was an interactive session. We were asked to share our opinion against the judges. 89 out of 90 में विटनेस आ गया, पूछिए। उसने पूछा कि चलिए ये बताइए, जब आप बंता सिंह से मिले, बंता सिंह ने आपसे क्या कहा? प्लेंटिव्स काउंसिल ऑब्जेक्टिव, यू कांट आस्क दिस क्वेश्चन, दिस इज लीडिंग क्वेश्चन, मेरा सारा आउट हो जाएगा डिफेंस। वो कहते हैं मेरा तो केस इस पे डिपेंड करता है सारा, मेरा व्हाटएवर यू कैन नॉट आस्क दिस क्वेश्चन। तो उसने जज साहब से कहा, जज साहब ने कहा भी आप ऑब्जेक्शन नोट कराइए, मैं डिसाइड करूंगा। ऑब्जेक्शन नोट करा दिया, बोलो तारीख चाहिए, मैं आपको केस लॉ दिखाऊंगा। तारीख मिल गई, 1 तारीख, 2 तारीख, 3 तारीख, 4 तारीख, 4-5 डेट्स के बाद उसने आर्गू करा। 50 जजमेंट्स प्लेंटिफ के वकील ने दी, 50 जजमेंट्स डिफेंडेंट के वकील ने दी। जज साहब को 1 महीना पढ़ने में लगा। 1 महीने बाद जज साहब ने फैसला कर दिया कि ये पूछ सकता है सवाल, क्वेश्चन वाज वैलिड। तो डिफेंस लॉयर तो खुश हो गया, देखो मेरी बात मानेगी। कहाँ पूछिए, कहता हाँ भी बताइए, जब बंता सिंह को आप मिले तो उसने क्या कहा? जी बंता सिंह तो मिले नहीं मुझे। ठीक है, तो उस अमेंडमेंट का क्या फायदा हुआ? हुआ फायदा कोई? क्यों नहीं हुआ? क्योंकि the judge was not thorough with the file. Judge was not thorough with the file. Judge should have known that in the affidavit it is written that when he went to meet Banta Singh was not available. Right? Then who is at fault? The CPC or the judge? I tell you converse of it now. I was at Amritsar dealing with NDPS cases. A file came to me after transfer from another judge. There were 2 witnesses. One witness was examined, cross-examined, 47 pages of cross-examination. 47 pages. And at least 7 adjournments. Right? The other witness was to be cross-examined before me. A very senior lawyer of Amritsar, he stood up and put a question. I told him that no, this is already there in the chief. You can't ask this question. दूसरा पूछा, मैं कहा सॉरी, नॉट रेलेवेंट। तीसरा पूछा, मैं कहा अगेन नॉट रेलेवेंट। तो उसको गुस्सा आ गया कि लोग कह रहे कुछ तो पूछना है। मैं कहा वकील साहब, कुछ पूछने के लिए भी यहाँ बैठे, आप रेलेवेंट पूछिए, 15 दिन पूछिए, नोबडी विल स्टॉप, लेकिन कुछ नहीं, कुछ कम करिए। एंड यू विल नॉट बिलीव 47 पेजेस से वो 7 सेंटेंसेस में क्रॉस एग्जामिनेशन, 7 सेंटेंसेस। So it depends on how you implement the laws. The laws will not come and say yes, yes, this is like this. You have to put them to practice. And when you become judges, my advice would be, first of all, love your work. Right? Why? Because how many of you are married? None. Must be having small brothers and sisters. Right? Whole day you study here and go home tired, exhausted. Right? And your younger brother or sister, he comes and hugs you. Your exhaustion is gone. Right? Why? Because you love him or her. Similarly, when you love your file, when you love your work, that work will not bore you. That will not tire you. Right? Secondly, go to the battlefield well prepared. अगर आपने अपनी फाइल नहीं पढ़ी है लॉयर उसको ड्राइव करेगा. I'll give you example of a roadways bus. 55 passengers, one driver. If the driver allows the passengers to control the steering, what would happen? Chaos, accident, 100%. So the steering must be under your control. You are presiding over the trial. The trial must proceed according to your wishes, according to your direction. And if you allow the control to slip into the hands of the advocates, only God knows what can happen to the court. So your question is answered?
Yes.
Anybody else?
Just a follow-up question. If the problem was not with the earlier courts,
Hmm?
if the problem was not with the earlier courts, the CRPC or the IPC evidence, will bringing the new court will solve this delay in cases?
This is what I am telling. The courts will not resolve the problems. Problems are to be resolved by you. I'll give you another example. At Gurdaspur, 6 cases pertaining to trademark were pending for 6-7 years. I went there by transfer. The cases came up before me. On that day, I was to go for jail inspection. मैंने वकील से पूछा कि कितना टाइम लगा, क्रॉस एग्जामिन करना था उसने. कहता सर एक केस में 1.5 घंटा लगेगा क्रॉस एग्जामिनेशन. कितना टाइम हुआ 6 केसेस के लिए? 9 hours, राइट? एट लीस्ट 6-7 जजमेंट्स. मैंने कहा भी इंस्पेक्शन किसी और दिन करेंगे, आज आपका 1.5 घंटा देखते हैं क्या है. भाई आप शुरू करिए क्रॉस एग्जामिनेशन. He put first question to the witness कि आपके हस्बैंड क्या काम करते हैं. How it is relevant for a trademark case? Ask some relevant question. वो कहता सर इन्होंने वैसे केस करने हैं, तो कभी ना यूज किया ना हमने करना है. मैं कहता make a statement. He made a statement and 6 cases were decided in less than a minute, and those were pending for 6 years. What made the difference? Intent and your personal interest in the case. So that is the key to success. That is the key to resolve the delay. And I should not say in my own appreciation, I remained in the High Court for about 2 years and decided 6,000 cases. I was in Armed Forces Tribunal only for 18 months and decided 8,000 cases. So if I can do it, why can't anybody else? मेरे लिए CPC CRPC अलग थोड़ी थी कोई. Same CPC CRPC, but the difference is that you have to put yourself into the file. Only then you can deliver the things. Yes, आपने कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं किया? हाँ.
नीचे वाले भी वेट कर रहे हैं सर आपके लिए. नीचे वाली क्लास वाले भी वेट कर रहे हैं.
वहाँ भी वेट कर रहे हैं. यहीं बुला लेते हैं
नीचे चल पड़ते हैं फिर उनके साथ. या फिर एक काम करते हैं ऊपर बुला लेते हैं, आप यहीं रहो, बच्चों को कह देते हो ऊपर आ जाएंगे, क्योंकि उनकी क्लास ऊपर करवानी है ना नेक्स्ट